people should do when their partner's checked out. And I want to give you some mind reframes, some mindset hacks. And the reason is simple. Why people stay together for the kids, and it's not what you think. Why men are not leading in their home. I'm Cass.
And I'm Kathryn.
Not so obvious ways to get the sex back.
So when you dated your husband in the beginning, did you ever answer the door with your hair all crazy? We're MorrowMarriage.
Let's flip divorce statistics with the new marriage. Welcome to the MorrowMarriage podcast, where we deliver the new marriage so we can disrupt divorce. This is our purpose, our passion in life. And today, Baby Cakes, I want to talk about what people should do when their partner's checked out. And I want to give you some mind reframes, some mindset hacks. And the reason is simple. It's because people's social media they're being inundated with coaches and course creators and glorified freaking dating advice. And I can't tell you how many men have just joined the program in the last couple of weeks. And they're telling me about this, all these different programs. I can't tell you how many men are coming from different programs. I'm not going to list them out here. That'd be rude. But man alive, the number one theme with programs for men, and you'd have to tell me for women, I don't know, or even if you know, but the number one thing is you got to be your best, most highly valuable self, some version of this statement. And listen, when your partner's checked out, I totally understand why that matters. In fact, we have our whole approach on that, which is your true, authentic self, but it's really, really about radical responsibility. And I'm stealing that. We were interviewed recently, and I like that a lot. I want to use that term, radical responsibility, because we were questioned as to why we could save our marriage when we came back from the things that we've come back from, the physical, the emotional, the sexual abuse, the 7 separations, the disaster, the pain. We never really talk about the pain, you know? And it's so easy with everybody in life telling you quit. And then so confusing when you see all these programs coming in about being your best, most highly attractive self, or whatever their version of the statement is. I want people to think about this differently. I want you to take radical responsibility for things like the pain, right? What could I do? Who could I be? Who should I be? And who will I be proud of? And when you do that, it does not matter if your partner's checked out. Let's talk about why.
Okay.
Have you got anything right now off the top of your head before I go?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nope.
So here's why, guys. Let's just look at some basics first. You know, we're famous for saying this. Like, you got together more than likely. You lived together. You were doing it together before you were married. So divorce papers, things like that don't matter. Separation, all this stuff. If you guys really want to get to the why, think about it like this. Most men and women are not leveling up. They're not growing. They're not rising, right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree? Most people are stagnant, comfortable, complacent, or maybe they just lack the skills. Would be a nicer way to put it. Maybe they just didn't get the skills.
A combination of both.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be faced with something negative or a rock bottom to be inspired to grow. And so when people are comfortable, they don't realize that it could be beneficial to grow because they're not at rock bottom. There's nothing that's hurting them. Pain causes growth. If they're not in pain, they just sit in their complacency. So I think it's a combination of complacency and lacking the skills. And
that could lead me to the first little mindset hack here. Like, think about it like this. Emotion is the root of all failure. It's also the root of all success. You know, if I'll use a business example. If you're super stressed out and you're using your last few dollars to invest in a business coach, what happens? You seem to work harder listening to the coach's advice because you need money now, right? Let's use a relationship. Well, you invested in a program and now you want to save your marriage. And so you are about to lose your spouse. That's why you did that, right? Almost everybody joins our program worried about some level of destruction in their marriage or ending in their marriage, correct?
I would say every person, not even almost every.
Maybe for you, I still have a lot that are like roommates or business partners, husband's a friend with a penis, girlfriend with a penis, I should say,
right.
So we still get a lot of that too. But here's the thing. If you can understand that emotion of, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose it all, can drive you, then go back to who am I going to be proud of? Because emotion can also cause the failures, right? Emotion, not understanding my emotions was making me react, was making me, do you see what I did there, by the way, listeners, watchers? Listen, she wasn't making me treat her poorly. I didn't know what I was feeling and how to react.
Oh, at the time, I was making you.
Well, there were some buttons that you pushed for sure. So here's the thing. If you want the first hack, you're taking responsibility, understand what you're taking responsibility for. And that is the outcome that you actually want. This is why it does not matter if your partner's checked out, because you guys were hot for each other once before. You guys were on fire with the conversations, ping, 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 finishing each other's sentences. All this stuff didn't just go away. It just got flooded with, and you started drowning with all the other crap, right? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything you want to add there?
No.
Okay. The second thing is most people are not consistent. Okay. What to do when your partner's checked out? Simply be consistent. If they're checked out, it's because they don't trust
you.
Yeah. And so if they
on
don't,
some level, there's going to be a lot of different reasons that someone could be checked out. But by the time someone checks out, trust for sure is at the bottom.
100%. And you guys, people think, they get this confused. They think, oh, well, there's no betrayal and there's no trust issues. That's not what we're talking about.
Just following through with the things that you said you would do, and the things that, again, the word complacent, you get complacent in your life around your house with all kinds of things that you need to do, and you prioritize your job more than you prioritize other things. So that trust, and I was speaking from a woman's perspective. Usually that's the complaints that I get on my side. So the trust goes down. So maybe there's no betrayal. They just don't trust you to lead the home, to provide emotional safety, to whatever it is.
Well, last episode, we talked about the covert contracts. Here's one, which happens with men a lot. So when they rise up, then they get their wife to come along for the journey, grow with them. So now they've had conversations, and sometimes it's before the program, obviously, right? But you've had conversations where you're like, yeah, we are going to go to therapy. And then we are going to, do the homework, or we are going to read this book, or we are going to do Cass and Kathryn's course. Okay. Then what happens is you have these covert contracts that we talked about where it's like, okay, I have this expectation, right? But you see, if you're not following through, your partner's sort of checked out, right? Now, the accountability that you're trying to hold on your partner for maybe doing the homework, having the conversation, just even speaking differently to each other, you start to back out because your inconsistency starts to pull you from going, well, why bother? Why would I bother doing the homework? And then you hear things like, well, of course I want to be with you. Of course I don't want to get a divorce. I'm going to therapy. Yeah, we all know what you're supposed to say. I want people to follow through on what they actually mean when they say it. Meaning you have to go back to radical responsibility and take responsibility for who do you want to be? Do you want to be a liar? Because that's all that means if you have no integrity, right? Is this making sense, everybody?
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Anything you want to add so far?
No, the consistency portion is so important because so many people will make a change. It could be even with weight loss. You'll make a change in your diet, but what happens 7 days later, 30 days later? You stop. You can't get to your end goal if you don't stay on your diet. If you're trying to lose 100 pounds or something, and so if you're trying to, let's say it's therapy. So you go to therapy, you go to one session, and then you decide that it's not working, or you don't do your homework, and then you stop going. Well, you're not being consistent. You're not doing your modules. If you're working with one of us, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't actually take the steps. If you stop taking the steps, where do you think that's going to go?
Toilet. All right. So there's something else with consistency that matters too. So a lot of times people will come to us and it will be something like we experienced. Kathryn said to me, if you stop yelling, then I'd be happy. I could fall in love with you again. I would want you more. And so I replaced yelling with not yelling. So sometimes consistency gets confusing because you think you're doing things correctly, but that's not what you needed. You needed consistency in safety, for example, right? Knowing that she could count on the fact that I wasn't going to lose my shit, right? And so sometimes another good example is alcoholics will say, well, I stopped drinking 4 years ago, and she's still throwing that in my face. That's because you're not consistent with everything that you need to do. Okay. Now I could go on about why we know we're covering all the bases and all that stuff. You're going to have to do your homework. If you don't trust us, if you're learning about us, you do your homework. Why we know all the different steps. It's because of the journey we went through. But that's one thing that's going to affect you, and your radical responsibility is going to allow you to not be comfortable, complacent. You're always on the journey to rise up, and you're going to be able to look at, am I doing everything consistently? You see how this is all tying together, honey? This is unscripted, guys. All right. So the very last thing that I want to give you for this is, well, I think it's important, but it's going to be most likely the toughest challenge. And that's taking responsibility, not being comfortable, complacent, i.e. working so hard, Okay. Now you've got all the steps and you got to be complacent, but then you have a partner who's now not just checked out, but pushing back, pushing away. And so I have something that I want to give on this, but have you got anything that you want to
I want to hear what you have to say first.
Okay. This is the way that I look at it. Kind of like radical responsibility. I want you to reframe it. Like, what do I want in this world? Is it you? Absolutely. I'm going to have to show up and do it no matter what pushback I get. Is it my kids having a better example because everyone else around them is getting divorced? That I'm going to have to show up and do this. I'm going to have, well, okay, so it's great. We have all these neat ideas and good beliefs that we want to follow through on. But here's how you do it. You literally think of who or what does the vision look like in the future? Okay. So I'm just going to say you and I are walking down the beach. Okay. Kids are all grown up and the kids are going to come to the vacation property, right? I guess we could do that here
This
too.
is a fun little dream.
Yeah.
Where's our vacation property?
It's actually here because this is such.
We live in a beach town.
Live in beach town. So, all right. So now, we've got a massive house. The kids are coming in. The grandkids are coming in. And we're out by the pool and we look ripped. We were laughing. The family comes in. We're super excited to see them. Don't get me wrong. But we're so in love that we're just talking and laughing. And we don't even notice the family coming in until they start screaming at us. Like, what are we going to call you? I don't
even know. Guys, I just turned 41 yesterday. And now all of a sudden I'm a grandma in the stream. Like, we need to slow down. This
is my point. There are things that are going to pull you away from following through, being consistent, making you want to comfortable, going, I shouldn't have to, I'm married. All these things that you hear. But if you have a vision in your mind clearly of what it is, I'm going to use the weight loss because you said it. Well, we're not sitting by the pool overweight. One of the reasons we're still flirting and having so much fun is because we're so drawn to each other or physically attracted to each other. Just one part of the journey. So if you're having trouble when your partner's checked out, do what that person would do, that person in the vision. Okay. Now that person's sleeping in a little bit longer probably because he's old, but I'm not going to do that yet. Okay. But here's the thing. If you can do that and you can attach to that, then detach from the outcome and watch as your partner who's pushing back and challenging you starts to trust you more, starts to believe in you, and really likes the vision that you're presenting, even without talking about the dream.
So I'm hearing accountability, radical responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm hearing get your eyes on the prize and do what that person would do. So act like you already have it. It's kind of what I'm hearing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Nice.
And the reason why this is the last step is because now that you've introduced no complacency, you're doing everything. Okay. Now you just keep showing up with that in mind and you can make anything happen. It's the reason we could rebuild our life after losing the gym. It's the reason we rebuild our marriage during that time, broke, couldn't go out and date. It's the reason why we are so physically attractive.
Yeah, you are.
It's the reason why, guys. It's because we didn't settle for less than what we deserve. Yeah. All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.